going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Everything Vive. I am Zain, your host, with Ronnie, your host, who's been the host for a while. It's been a while since I've done that introduction, man.
It
It felt kind
it
of weird.
has.
I gotta shake some of the dust off.
I was gonna say my nostalgia was ringing a little bit. I was like, oh, it's so nice to have Zane on the podcast this week.
I know, man. It's been crazy, but I appreciate you carrying the team. You've had
Of
some
course.
awesome content, game coverage, and interviews and stuff like that. Now I'm still here. I listen to all the episodes because I'm putting them in, or I do all the audio production on the back end. So I'm still
Yep.
here in spirit. But it's was nice to be able to jump into some VR recently with you, actually,
hmm
and of course be here and ready to record on the show. So. I think we have a main thing that we're going to get into today, which is our multiplayer experiences for Creed and Vox Machinae. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, I think so. I
Okay.
think that's
But
me and Damon talked before. Like we were trying to make sure we were saying it right, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
okay. Um, so yeah, we're gonna go in depth, at least with our experiences doing the multiplayer versions of those two games. But a couple of quick things for house cleaning. Ronnie, you had mentioned beforehand. If you guys don't already know, it seems like the Steam Autumn Sale is going on right now, and I
hmm
believe I'm just double checking here. It's going on through November 27th until 10 a.m. Pacific time. So plenty of time. You have almost a week to get your Black Friday, pre-Thanksgiving, and Cyber Monday deals in. And I know that there are a lot of good games that I'm looking to snag while while they're on sale.
Yeah, no, and it's a good time too because I mean, with the holidays, approaching, I know a lot of people travel with their HMDs and show off a bunch of VR games to friends and family. And so, if there are certain games out there that you've been kind of waiting to pull the trigger on, especially fun ones that you can share with people, I mean, I think it's totally worth it to just check the list real quick, and you can pick up 5 or 6 titles even sometimes for what it would have cost you just to get one, when they're not on sale. So
Yeah, no, I agree, and it might be fun. Not now, just because I know you and I are kind of on a schedule here. But I think it'd be fun to do one of those where we dive into the I was gonna say Black Friday, but it's really the autumn sale. Because I
yeah,
haven't seen all the titles. I just saw the ones that were kind of like at the top or that they emailed me about. But maybe we can
hmm
just do a little bit of analysis and put that out over the weekend as a mini bonus episode. See if we can
yeah,
get
I think that
even
would be
Damon
awesome.
on because you both of you have been playing a lot more than I have. I've just recently started jumping back into it, so I kind of want to know from you guys what should be getting. I think if we're gonna have that conversation, we might as well share that with the
Yeah,
podcast
no,
listeners as well.
I agree, and I mean, like, yeah, the autumn sale would be a good time to kind of look at what's available right now, and then just in general, I think the past year there's just been such a proliferation of new titles out there and really quality titles. And so, yeah, I'm even looking toward, I'm really looking forward to December, maybe doing a kind of roundup of what VR titles look like at the end of 2018. I mean, you know,
That would be fun
listeners
too.
out
Yeah.
there, yeah, listeners out there, feel free to give us feedback on, what would be the most helpful in terms of like, our 2018 kind of summary coverage of all the games that we've been looking at so far. But I was kind of just thinking more so than just looking at 2018, since we really only have 2 or 3 years now of a backlog catalog, just to kind of go through and really again kind of try to narrow in and focus on what our just favorite VR titles are. Period. Like there might still be some games from 2017 and 18 that are striking our fancy that we still like. I think have to have in our catalog, but then there's a lot of newer titles too. It would just be interesting to see kind of our overall take because
Yeah,
I'm
remember we did that
still
really long episode a while back where we like kind of
I
narrowed
do
down all all the games.
I
I don't
do
know if we should do that again, but I think it'd be fun to round up old and new and see kind of where they stack. And of course, we were very explicit last time too, but this would be our subjective thoughts and opinions on
yeah.
what we played so far.
I think that's a good idea, and I might even like sometime in the near future kind of put together my list of what I think the you can't miss games are, and maybe that'll be a good opportunity for you to kind of brush up on some of the ones you haven't had a chance to
Yeah,
play
I
before
agree.
that episode.
Yeah, I mean, just with the holidays and time kind of slowing down everywhere. I'm hoping to really jump back into more VR titles, and I know that there are a lot that I need to catch up on.
Yep, yep.
So, all right, that was the first thing. The second thing is we still have the two Steam keys, correct?
Yeah, yeah. We still have there. It's for People Cubed. It's a puzzle game from our friends over at Whitway Studios. So, yeah, I'm trying to think of really the best way to handle that giveaway.
Well, yeah. So, like I said, where I know we've been neglecting the YouTube channel, but that is my project this holiday weekend. So, why don't we do this? There will be a corresponding video for this episode on YouTube, and it'll just be the
Okay.
audio there. But if you're listening here, or if you're listening there, wherever the case is, just leave a comment. And what game are you eyeing this autumn sale for? I guess I keep wanting to say Black Friday just because I see that everywhere.
Yeah,
But in
yeah.
the comments, let us know what you guys are eyeing or what you think we should be paying attention to that is currently on sale. Would
That's
be
a good one.
curious to get your feedback on that and just kind of start a dialogue that way.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a good topic too, because that'll help out every other listeners out there as well as ourselves, because there's so much to cover and so much to play that especially games that maybe are like lesser known if they're on sale.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a great time to check things out. So
Yeah, and this is going to be episode 131, so just giving you guys a heads up. So head on over to YouTube if you want to be entered in for the giveaway, and we will give that away either next week or the week after, or just kind of depending on when we get episodes out. And yeah, we'll go from there.
awesome. Well, what are your plans? Like, do you have any VR plans for the Thanksgiving break, or you're not sure yet?
Okay, well, this is gonna kind of slide into our conversations, our main topic, but yeah, I've been hooked on Creed. Creed has been so much fun, and I want to actually go through the whole campaign and do it on the hardest level possible,
Ooh.
and see if I can record that or live stream it
And that's
for our
not
YouTube
easy.
channel.
Like because I know when we played initially during our multiplayer session, that had been kind of your first time with the game. So
Yes.
like, so you were just kind of getting acclimated to it. But like I myself, like I've been playing. I don't think I think I've been playing on normal probably, and I'm kind of near the latter stages. And like I definitely, I definitely lose a few times on some of these opponents at normal before I'm able to kind of prevail still. So
Yeah, I mean, so
maybe
I've done a couple fights on normal, and I feel like I'm starting to get a good idea
of what works.
of what works, and it's actually interesting because, like, obviously each of the fighters are different in ways,
Yeah,
so you kind of know
yeah,
what to expect or where to block things like that. I love it. I think
yeah.
it's really cool, and I'm using it as a pseudo workout as
No,
well.
it's
I'm like,
actually
if I just
really
want
like
to burn some
yeah.
extra calories during the day or something, then I'll
No,
jump
same.
in.
For me, like I mean, I've been working out a lot lately myself, and like for me, it doesn't completely replace my workout, but it's a super good bonus workout, like where I just be like being lazy on the couch. Like I
Hmm.
play Creed, and I feel like I legit like it's as good as like shadow boxing or doing some kind of activity like that. Like if like I don't like usually by the time like I said, it takes me a few fights to kind of finish some of these later battles in the game.
Uh huh.
I think I'm nearing the end of the campaign mode. But usually when I like kind of get in and play, like I usually train, and then I'm usually able to like have a few fights in with these guys before I'm just like, all right, I'm done. I'm pretty tired and
Yeah, no, it's a good time. Like I said, I think I don't want to say I've mastered it on the normal level, but like
yeah,
I've fought a lot and with a lot of different characters, right? Like you have like the weaker characters, you have the bigger, stronger characters that are slower and get tired easily. So
yep.
yeah, so I just feel like I'm starting to learn all like the different nuances, and I really want to take a crack at that and try to record it or live stream it and see if I can do it all in one go without passing out.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So
No, that's
I'll
actually
see if I can.
doing a live
That's like my
stream
goal
from
for it.
beginning to end. That would be that's actually a really cool like that would be a good idea to do. Like just that sounds fun.
Yeah. So well, we'll figure it out. And if I do, then just keep an eye out for it on Twitter. I'll go ahead and make sure that I announce it or post a live stream there.
Dude,
And
maybe I can come over to your place during the live stream and I can be your like
oh, you could be
your
the guy. Yeah,
your ring man.
you
Like
could
I can give you a water bottle
you
in
could be
between
in my
rounds.
corner, dude. I would love it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Who needs Rocky?
exactly. Yeah, I mean, this is a good idea, I think. And that's what Creed is one of the games that I'm really excited though about showing to people. This like and that's what I was gonna say. Like I think Creed and Electronauts are two Survios titles that are actually both on sale for the autumn sale. But
Hmm.
those are two games that I'm looking forward to showing people just in the family because they're like super approachable, just like easy to jump in and be
Yeah.
impressed and have fun. And then you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean Creed. Yeah, I've had so much fun showing people Creed. Oddly enough, I mean, this new apartment that I'm at, the play area is a little bit smaller, and it's kind of right next to the kitchen. And somebody straight up punched a glass object and shattered
Oh
it
my,
everywhere. And there
no
was just, oh yeah, we
way.
had to clean up glass. And I mean, how can I like get upset at them? Because I'm just like, I put you in a game where you're boxing, right? So of
That's
course.
hilarious.
But yeah, that happened about a week ago, and
That's awesome.
yeah. So otherwise, it's been fantastic. The problem is he was like really getting into it, so he was like circling around and like trying
Yeah,
trying
yeah,
to really get behind the guy. I'm just like, just stay in front of him, you know. But
yeah.
yeah, whatever the case is, I guess my point is that it's been a lot of fun to show people too, because you get
Yeah.
in there and you're fighting these dudes who are like, I don't know, 6 to 10 inches taller than you, and they
I
look
know.
as absolutely ripped.
I know.
So and Ronnie, at least you've been working out. I haven't been working out. I've been using this as my workout. So when I get
I'm
in there,
actually kind
it's
of yeah, I'm kind of excited actually to show it to some younger kids just because I want to see their reaction to having to like step up to these like huge like just I have one nephew that he's like 5 or 6 but he really gets in like he likes trying out VR games and like his parents are cool with him jumping in and trying things out and
yeah.
everything and I can just see like I just want to see his reaction when he not even when he like actually like starts the match. I just want to see what his reaction is when he thinks he has to go up against this guy.
No, well, when it is super intimidating when you just like kind of walk up there and these guys are taller than you, and like, I mean, granted, I've played games where you're fighting zombies that are taller than you and like stuff like that, but it's
Yeah,
just like this is a very like up close personal boxing match. You don't have a gun. You actually like. I feel my lack of reach with a lot of these guys because I'll punch them like I'm not even close.
yep, yep,
And
yep.
it was
No,
it was the first time because like I don't watch boxing as much necessarily. I'll watch MMA more, and
yeah,
obviously I know when they post the stats up there, the initial stats before the fight, and they'll say like here's their reach, and you can see like the difference in height, weight, reach, things like that.
yeah,
I know obviously it makes a huge difference, but there's like a certain level of like inner acknowledgement and recognition of how much that difference makes when you're trying to punch somebody who's almost a
yep.
foot taller than you or half a foot taller than you, and
No,
they're
and that's
landing
actually
shots and like you try to
yeah.
counter and all of a sudden they're like way out of range.
No, and that's actually like a really realistic kind of representation of how this stuff is in real life. Because I mean, I'm not like a fighter or anything, but like I did do some boxing training like a few years, like 2 or 3 years ago, I'd say. No, long. It's been longer than that. I'm showing my age now. I'm starting. I thought it was 2 or 3. It was more like 10 years ago. But yeah, I did. I did a little bit of boxing training, and every now and then we would spar, and that's kind of the thing. Like, yeah, I'm a little bit short on the shorter end compared to a lot of guys,
No, I'm
and
right there with
so
you.
yeah, so that's like I actually had a lot of strength, but and endurance, but my reach is so short that it really does like I mean you have to take that into consideration when you're fighting because like in order to benefit from the power and all of that, like I'd really have to get in there close. Otherwise, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
really be careful about blocking shots when you're doing that too, because like just on entering like in trying to get close like that to get your shots in, if you're not careful, you're opening yourself up to getting hit as well, so
Yeah, no, agreed.
and all those and all of those things come out in this game. That's why it's really a fun like I've been having it's like you said, it's one of those games that like whether I'm even in the mood to kind of play games or not, if I have some energy, it's just fun to pop it on and get some quick rounds in just because it's such like it's just such a fun physical experience to do a match in that game.
Yeah, no, it's funny, man, because like there's I remember the first day. So why don't we kind of slide into our experience with the multiplayer?
Yeah, let's
But
do that. I think that makes sense.
you know, it was either that night or the night after. There was like this weird pain in my shoulders and soreness, and like I didn't know what it was until I
This is
realized that
after
like
you and me
this
played,
is
right?
after
Like
you and I had boxed.
this is the first time you
First
played it,
time I'd
right?
ever played it before, and yeah, like it was like I couldn't believe how much like energy I was exerting and how little I'd use. And they're not like muscles that I would say anybody really works out regularly. But if you
Yeah.
are in any type of martial arts or boxing training where you
Yep.
are punching, and
Yep.
punching at full speed, things like that, I
Yep.
think that most people would have never really worked that out before. I've
Yeah.
done all different types of workouts, but I've never really done like a boxing or an MMA workout.
No, for sure. It gets like your back in like kind of a unique way, and yeah,
Yeah.
and it's completely different than like you can run and lift weights and all that kind of stuff. But when you have like a boxing or like a martial arts type workout like that, like just the fact that you're like kind of throwing those punches in the air
Mm-hmm.
and like and I think even to some degree, doing it in like doing shadow boxing or like in this case like playing VR where you're not actually hitting something physically, like just the act of like pulling your hand back and because think about it this way: if you're hitting like a heavy bag, the bag itself is stopping your arm. That's
Yeah.
what's letting you kind of pull it back, right? So like you don't
Well,
have
also
to.
there's an extra impact there which you don't feel. So
Yeah, but so that impact though, in a way, actually, like in some ways it makes it harder, but in other ways it makes it easier because you're not actually having to use muscles to stop your punching motion. Like the bag stops you, not your arm. But when
yep,
you're when
yep.
you're but when you're boxing, like in Creed, for example, since you're not hitting anything, you're actually using muscles in addition to using muscles to throw the punches. You're actually using your muscles to kind of stop the punches and pull them back to like punch again. You know what I mean?
No,
So like
yeah, yeah, I think so.
in some ways it works like by doing shadow boxing and like playing or boxing in VR, like you're using some other muscles that you might not even use like on a heavy bag.
Yeah, it's intense, man. I mean, I like it. There's something about the satisfaction that you get when you like hit the hit your opponents as well or land like a really good combo.
Yep.
And just it's again, and we always talk about this, and but I can't stress it enough. It's just the experience is so visceral because like you're right there, standing like literally inches away from someone else, and of course you
Yeah.
can't feel the impact. I think obviously one of the biggest weaknesses for a game like this is the fact that you can't feel the impact back, or at least the worst case
Yeah.
scenario it'll be a buzz. But
Yeah.
that's not a knock against the game. That's really the knock against where VR is at this point, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
but
And
yeah, I
and
mean,
actually I think they do a pretty good job. Like at first, like I think I mentioned this in my review. Like at the beginning, like especially when I hadn't played it as much as I've played it by now. The game does this thing where like you're like a I keep forgetting the term that they use to explain it, but like the player themselves are kind of like it's almost like a spirit, like
like yeah, that you
like
get knocked out or something, right?
yeah, you're like a see-through kind of like you as a player are kind of in sync with the boxing avatar that you are in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so when you punch the enemies, your avatar's hand will stop at the jaw of the character that you're fighting, but then like your real world hand will kind of keep going, and you see the kind of separation when that happens between like your actual hand and their hand, and like they use that to also show like when your player gets tired and all of that, like
Yep.
you
Yep.
might still be moving fast, but your player in the game is no longer
Doesn't have the
getting
stamina.
effective yeah, it doesn't have effective shots and all that kind of stuff, so like it forces you to kind of slow down at first. Like it takes a little bit of getting used to kind of see that like sometimes you feel like, oh, my shots aren't hitting when I feel like I should be or this or that, but like when you get used to it, it does a good job of making you feel like everything in the game is like nice and physical and solid, like what you were saying, like when you get a sweet shot, like a really good open shot on your opponent, like it, even though you don't physically feel like you're hitting him, like the game does as good of a job as possible to like get you that feeling, that because it is like a very visceral experience, and I
Yeah.
think I think some of that has to do with like how effective they've really done a good job to make it feel
Mm-hmm.
like you're hitting something, you
No,
know?
I have like nothing bad to say about this game. I don't think I've had a negative experience at all aside from broken glass, but that
Yeah.
but exactly what you're saying, right? Like even the way that your arms get tired when you're punching too much or things like that, or you're past your stamina, they've found like really cool creative ways that make sense within the game.
Hmm.
Um, so that you can't just like kind of cheat or like just go overboard with it, because otherwise somebody would just keep punching, right? You just keep
Yeah.
punching and like you wouldn't get tired or whatever the case is. But it kind of like sets, I think, in my mind, reasonable limits with where the tech and the game are at right now. And
Hmm.
so like it forces you to be really defensive. And I've actually, like, one of my goals now that I've been doing, where I'll just like jump into random fights, is I will try to win matches taking like as few hits as possible. Right. So like I
Yeah.
play super defensive rather than just being all out, and like I'll
Yep.
just take my shots, like, work on my stamina, go a couple rounds. So I'm like I'm having fun with it in so many different ways, because like I'll do
Sounds
that
like
and
the
then
game
like,
is Yeah, sounds like the game's making you a better boxer.
oh my gosh, I think so. I've never boxed in my life before, but I feel like, not that I want to go out and fight right now, but
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
think and this is what I love again about like VR, right? Um, because Beat Saber, like, obviously was another game that is super popular, or had its moment, maybe a couple months ago. But that's
Yeah.
something that we show people, that I show people regularly. And my thought process with that game, and I don't know if I've said it on the podcast yet, but I'll say it now, is like, this game, like, it's amazing to me, and
Hmm.
amazing in the sense that like somebody is playing a game, but there's three benefits that they're getting from it. Obviously, the first one is that they're being active, they're working out, they're playing a video game, but they're burning calories, they're standing up, and they have to move, right? The
Hmm.
second is they are improving their hand-eye coordination. I know a lot of video games you can say that in terms of like, because you do that even if when you're using a controller, right? But
Hmm.
I think even more so now, you're using your entire body to really improve hand-eye coordination. And then, kind of in conjunction with that, number three would be you're improving your sense of rhythm. Like, if you ever want to get into music or drumming or things like that, you're actually
Mm.
learning how to like hit things to a beat. And so,
Hmm.
not necessarily as a drummer, but just like understanding rhythm, I think
Hmm.
and it's more subconscious. But like I said, that is such a cool thing that you can do in VR, right? Whereas
Hmm.
here now, like in this game, yeah, I'm practicing my combos. I don't need anybody else. But I'm practicing my combos, I'm practicing my punches, I'm practicing like my accuracy with punches, I'm practicing my reaction time, or improving my reaction time when I see someone trying to hit me. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then, granted,
Yeah.
like, you're playing against a computer most of the time, but well, what we can talk about is like you're in my experience in terms of
Hmm.
like boxing against someone else. That's something that I would need to and want to do, and maybe we'll try to set something like that up over the weekend.
Yeah, I look forward to that because yeah, it's no, I agree with you. Like I have fun against the computer. It was super fun playing against you, like in person, because
Yeah,
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 you feel like yeah, not in person, but in person. Like you
in
feel
virtual
like
person.
you're yeah, in virtual person, you feel like you're there with someone, and you're actually like we played like quite a while. Like I mean, I was tired too
I think we went
after
three rounds. Sorry, not three
or
rounds.
three fights.
We went three
Right.
fights with multiple rounds.
Yeah, and I mean, we were both like going out. Like, I mean, we
Yeah.
were in it to win, right? Like,
Yeah.
so it wasn't like we were just playing it easy or whatever. Like, it was, yeah, it was a ton of fun. And
Yeah. I'd love to fight you again now that I feel like I've gotten better at like
dude,
understanding
I feel like
boxing.
I'm gonna get beat, but I don't. Yeah, I guess I
Yeah,
had a leg
you
up
beat
on
me
you
last
last time.
time. I think you beat me two out
Yeah,
of three matches.
so now, yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm gonna have to get some
Yeah,
practice
you
in
gotta you
then.
gotta train while you're or well, you gotta train this weekend.
Yeah, but no, it was a ton of fun, and being able to like just talk with each other, in game, and just have all those rounds, and like
Yeah.
yeah, I think we were having some lag issues when we were playing. It wasn't like once I got used to it, like it wasn't anything too crazy. We were having still a ton of fun. My understand like I in the couple of weeks since we last played, I saw that Servios had put out some kind of an update to deal with like online lag. So I don't know if I'd have to look to see what those specifics were. If it was,
Yeah. Oh,
just
I'm
the
on the Steam
PC.
page now, and it looks like just last week they put out a fix for PvP connection and improvements
Yeah.
there. So that's
So
really
maybe
cool.
Yeah, like I said, like there were some times where I felt like, man, I should be getting these shots, but they're not landing. But then once we got into the flow of it, and I kind of knew like what to expect, like it. I mean, we were still having a really good time. So I
Yeah.
wonder. Yeah, I'd be curious to see if it how much improved it is or whatever. But like
Yeah.
either way, it's a really fun game.
Yeah, and that, I mean, it was one of those games where it's similar to my first ever experience in VR. Yeah, and I'm not trying to put this on the same pedestal as Longbow from the lab, but like it was one of those things where like as soon as we had like done that, I wanted to jump back and like fight. Like I
Yeah,
just it was such a cool and new. I don't want to say necessarily new experience because I'm sure like there's been other experiences like that, but it was new for me in that sense, and it was just done super super well.
yeah,
That like that addiction kind of kicked in where I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to like play this again and I need to like get better at it and like try just like you know what I mean like I said,
yeah,
I'd never really boxed before, and then, not that this is
yeah.
gonna push me towards boxing, but I think that just playing it as a game and using my body in ways that I hadn't really done before was really cool.
Yeah, because I think when VR is like done really well, a lot of what shines through and the experiences you have just have to do with like the benefits and the fun of those actual experiences. Like I think part of what you're talking about is just like to some extent like what you would get out of boxing if you're like a proficient boxer, right? Like
Yep.
neither you or me are going to go and like spar with people. I mean, not only are we not in the shape for that, but there's so many. I mean, getting punched in the face in real life is no
Yeah.
is no joke, right?
No, I don't
So
think I
like
actually want to fight people. I just think that yeah.
that's what I'm saying though. Like I'm saying like in real life, like you can't do some of these things, but I think the game is done in such a way where like you and I can get a lot of the fun and like because obviously like people recreationally, you know, do these kind of activities on their own and there's obviously a joy from that, right? Like when VR is done in its proper way, it allows some of those benefits and the fun that can be had with some of these activities. It gives that same fun to people that would otherwise not be able to do those kind of activities. So I don't know. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think that there's so much potential. Obviously, even with a game like this, like one of the things that came to mind is just like how could you make it like more realistic in a sense, and like I think if you take like a facial shot or something like or a shot to the face,
Hmm.
um, I was like, okay, if that happens, like it should blur your vision or it should do something here and there. But I understand because I know the folks at Servios do a lot of testing. They make sure their stuff is good. Um,
Yeah.
and it is so, but like my thought process was like, okay, if I get punched in the face, I know they have that kind of like astral projection where if you get
Hmm.
knocked out or knocked back, but
Hmm.
if you do actually get punched in the face, it should kind of like blur your vision for a moment, right? But my point or my counterpoint to my own argument is that like it might be unnatural or unnerving or unsettling for someone who's in VR.
Yeah.
Just because you know what I mean, like as it is,
Yep.
like it's already weird when your arms aren't lining up until you get used
Yep.
to it.
Yep.
But it's yeah, like I said, I think I've done well. I shouldn't say I've done, but I think just playing as much as I have, I've really liked improve my VR legs and VR stomach. So I feel like I'd be able to take a lot more than your average person who's jumping in casually or jumping in maybe even for the first time. So
Yeah.
I totally get where they're coming from, and like I said, no complaints. I'm just curious, like how do you make something more realistic? Because I do feel like sometimes I'll get punched, but like it doesn't actually affect me, right? Like I'll take
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
take a hit, but since I don't feel it, there's
Yeah.
no there's nothing there.
Sometimes you take more hits in the game than you would in real life just because like you don't have that. Yeah, like you don't realize how much you're getting hit sometimes
Well,
until it's too late
yeah,
or
and I mean, of course, the computer is a computer. It's a program, but to the computer, they're taking hits. Like to them, they're feeling physical hits and getting tired. I'm just getting tired. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
there's like
Yeah.
so
The computer understands that it's getting hit a lot like
exactly,
more
yeah.
directly than we do sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, because the thing is like if it's not shown in any specific way aside from like a big hit, then you kind of just brush it off because you don't feel it and it doesn't really matter. So that's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's like the only thing where I'm just wondering like, with the improvement in like VR, gosh man, I can't believe it's been 2.5 years now since the Vive, and since I've launched, I guess.
It
But
is crazy.
so like I'm just thinking like next gen stuff. Like how is it going to get even better? Because I'm ready for Ready Player One. So I'm
Yep,
just curious.
yep.
Like what's the next step? What's the next phase or evolution that we're gonna see that would take like an experience like this kind of to the next level?
Yeah, no, it's exciting, and yeah, you're right. Like the second generation, I think of high end virtual reality is kind of on its way. So it's now's the time, I guess, for people to be thinking about this kind of stuff.
Yep. No, agreed. Um, cool, man. Well, how about we jump to the next game then? I know, well, I think you and I could talk about Creed all day long, and we're going to be talking about it more in the
Easily.
podcast.
And I
Uh,
know I'm going to be playing it a lot this weekend. So
yeah.
like
So
hopefully some of that with you, but even if we're not able to meet up, like I know regardless my weekend's going to have Creed in it. So
yeah. Well, we're like I said, and I'll try to find a time, or maybe you and I will get together and do some of the live streaming with Creed as well.
yeah, that'd be
Um,
a lot of fun.
but yeah, I think it'd be really cool. So let's jump to Vox Machinae, and I
Yep.
you've probably had more time in this game than I have, so I don't know if
Hmm.
we haven't really talked about it yet on the podcast. I don't know if you want to
No.
start us off and give your thoughts.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I had a chance to put in a decent amount of time with it, and we've been meaning to talk about it on the podcast before. The developers were kind enough to give us keys so that we could check it out and cover it on the podcast. And really, I mean, Vox Machina is just a really fun mech styled, uh, mostly multiplayer type experience in VR. And I mean, yeah, you get in. They do a really good job of showing you the basics. It's not super complicated. It's I think someone had told me it's kind of like Mech Warrior. And when I got into it, it's more arcadey than that. As far as like you're not super like managing like the systems in the mech or anything like that. It's more like you are in a cockpit, and depending on the control scheme you use, like you can kind of interact with different types of screens and machinery and stuff within the cockpit. But for me, actually, like the to the game's credit, they give you a lot of options as far as how you want to control the game. You can use your controllers and actually, manipulate things with your hands inside the cockpit if you want. But I actually had more fun with the game just using a standard like Xbox One controller hooked up to my PC. And using that control scheme, I am still looking at different screens and different feedback within the cockpit of the mech in the game. But I'm able to control, kind of the movement of the mech itself with my joysticks on the controller. I'm able to, use like one of two, I think, or yeah, one of several different firing modes with the triggers, missiles, or kind of more of a machine gun type thing. And it's pretty simple in terms of what you're able to do. You're able to use jetpacks to fly around, and most of the game has to do with like capturing nodes or kind of kind of simple tasks within a multiplayer environment. So it's usually red team versus blue team, and you jump in and you're playing with I think up to 16 players if I recall correctly. Um, each with various types of mechs. There's heavier mechs, there's quicker mechs, like with lesser armor and all that kind of stuff as you'd expect from some of these types of multiplayer games. But I mean, really, the thing that stands out about the game is just how great it all looks and how smooth the gameplay is. It's not super complicated, so as opposed to some of the games out there, like Onward or some of these other ones where they're amazing, you can have some super intense, VR multiplayer experiences. This you get a lot of those same kind of feelings. You're able to talk with your teammates. You're able to be in there and play with your friends. But at the same time, I think it's super approachable. And like I said, it everything looks great, runs great. You're out there on these big kind of vast rocky environments. I've played a few of the maps. The maps are pretty varied in terms of how they look and how they feel and all of that. And yeah, me and you, we jumped in and we played. I'm not sure if we played for like a solid hour and a half. I can't really remember how long we played, but
We played a
I
good
mean,
number of matches.
yeah, we played a good number of matches, and regardless of whether we were on the winning team or the losing team, we had fun just shooting other mechs and like just had fun with the game experience itself. So I don't know if there was anything specific you wanted to talk about your time with the game, but
I mean, so same as you, and just to clarify, this game is currently still in early access. So, a lot of this stuff it will or is in the process of being improved, as the game is still, not technically finished yet. So I'm really excited for where it could go. I think that what jumped out to me right away is what you mentioned as well. The graphics and like the gameplay was simple enough to pick up. Yeah, you got to go through a little training, and that's totally fine. I think that took me less than 5-7 minutes or so
yeah.
to really fully grasp. And I played it with the Xbox controller or just like a regular controller, which I will say I don't. It made the game easier in some senses, but again, like I'm all in when it comes to VR. So playing with a controller and then also having a seated experience kind of made me feel like, yeah, okay. But that being said, I'm not trying to downplay how good the game is based on that, because I know like a seated, like that's more of like a preference thing, right? Like I know that there are going to be awesome seated games, and this is
Mhm.
actually one of them. This is actually one that I really enjoyed because the graphics were just so good, and the gameplay was
And you're in a
realistic in the
cockpit,
sense.
so
Yeah,
like
exactly. So you
so it
get
makes sense.
you get to look around, but like there's a lot of satisfaction when you're shooting your laser, when you're aiming, when you're like a lot of that stuff just responded to the VR platform super well.
Hmm.
And I would love to actually get what am I looking for here? I would love to actually like try it again with using the Vive controllers rather than a gamepad or something.
Hmm.
So
Well, yeah, for me, like it was a little bit hard. I don't know now if like because obviously you can play the game with Vive controllers with on the Oculus Rift with the touch controllers. Like, yeah, me personally, I didn't love using the Vive controllers, though. I did see there's definitely some benefits to like how you're able to interact with the cockpit and that kind of stuff when you use that
well,
control
I
method.
I think
I'm
it makes
wondering,
it much more difficult and much more complicated of a game because you have to actually learn how to navigate it then rather than just learning a set of buttons, right? So
yeah, yeah.
in that sense, I wonder if that would make it more immersive. Although then the learning curve goes way up.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I mean that was the other thing. Like, I don't know if like using the Rift controllers since they have joysticks, like if that might be the perfect marriage of the two. Like maybe
Yeah, that's
you'd
a
be
good point.
able to like you'd have some of the abilities that you get from the controller using those joysticks, but then you would be able to like freehand some of the stuff in the cockpit with the control. Like I haven't I should have probably checked it out on the Rift controllers as well, but that might be something that I check out this weekend just to see what I think of it. But
Gotcha. Yeah, did you bring your Rift with you also?
yeah, yeah,
Nice.
I actually I left my Vive at home because I have the base stations kind of you know set up and mounted on my walls now.
Mm-hmm.
So the Rift is more of my travel
Okay,
VR
yeah, that makes sense
setup.
actually. Yeah.
And then yeah, so at home when we were playing, I didn't even have my Rift was all packed up and kind of like in the corner, and I've mostly used my Vive at home, and then when I'm on the road, I usually just take my PC with me and then just grab that bag with all the Rift stuff and go and play Rift games. So
Nice. Okay.
sometimes I have them both hooked up at the same time because obviously like there's some benefits to playing the Rift over the Vive in certain stuff, but yeah, mostly I use the Vive at home when I have access to my big play area, and then I take the Rift on the road when I want to show friends and stuff.
Gotcha. Okay, no, that makes sense just with setup and all that.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, no, I'd say, man, like it's a really cool experience. I had never really played a mech game. I've never really been into mech games before, but that's not because I don't like them. It's just
Yeah,
my I guess preferential for the types of games that I had been playing when I was
yep.
more of a gamer. But this like and again like it's anything like when you put something in VR, just like makes it 100 times % cooler or whatever the whatever weird number I'm trying to throw out there. But
Yeah.
I was just trying to think of like something simple like table tennis or actual tennis or something like that. Like so being in there, the sense of presence was good. I thought the gameplay was really good, and just like I mean, a lot of it, you're in an action movie, right? Like that's what it feels like. You're seeing stuff
Yep.
blow up all around you. There's missiles flying everywhere. It's really cool from that aspect. And I think in that aspect, the developers like really nailed it. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what else they come out with. If there's going to be some type of campaign mode. Maybe there is. Like I said, the only time that I've jumped into it was with you. So I think a lot of the benefits or a lot of the high points of the game are the multiplayer. Although I'm just saying that from somebody who's only played multiplayer, but
Hmm.
I just from what I played in the game and my experience with it so far, that was just such a highlight. Yeah, I can imagine like doing a single player mode again, but I think just the multiplayer aspect of it just reminds me of like the old Halo days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. No, it was.
But
I,
obviously
I
with the
agree.
different, yeah.
And one thing I'd like to mention real quick is just the fact, like, for people out there, if you do have some sensitivities to motion sickness, like I tend to get a little bit more like sensitive to those kind of things, I think, than you or Damon do. Like, for me, it's real. It's a pretty even though like you're moving around with a controller and all that kind of stuff, and there's like a lot of free range movement and flying around. Like, I really like after playing about an hour. Yeah, I felt a little bit like I needed a break after playing, but that was like, I mean, we played quite a while, and I didn't feel like super nauseous or anything like that. I just felt a little bit okay, like I'll take a break, and I would imagine I would get more and more used to it the longer I played. But it's
Yeah.
just something that, and I take it you probably didn't feel anything because you're you're a little
No,
bit better
man.
at that stuff, I think,
Iron
than me.
stomach.
Yeah. So
No,
so
I
yeah.
don't know.
So
Like I said, I've forced myself to like really, I don't know, get better with that. Like personally, and I know this might offend some people, but personally, I still prefer teleportation. But that's because I think it's faster. I actually have no problem with locomotion, and teleportation doesn't technically take me out of the experience. But any
yeah.
type of locomotion, like I'm fine with. And I don't know. I think it's just maybe there's like that mental aspect of like knowing that I'm in VR, which means that yeah, I'm not like fully like immersed, but at the same time, I'm also like not allowing myself to get overwhelmed
Yeah.
in terms of my senses, right? To the point where like I
Yeah.
feel sick.
Ironically, like, and this is another thing, like when I was playing Vox Machinae versus Creed, like I actually was thinking how nice it would be to have a wireless headset more in Vox Machinae than even in Creed.
Hmm.
Because for me, for some reason, when I play Creed, I don't feel the weight of like more. What bothers me about being tethered is just the fact that like I am a little bit restricted in my movement. But
Okay,
in
so you felt
Vox
like the weight of the
Machina,
wire.
when I'm seated, for some reason, that tugging on the back and the weight of the wire kind of impacted me a little bit more. Like, not that it's like, I mean, it's just like in any games. But it was just one of
Yeah.
those things where I was just like, man, like this is actually something that like all of these games will really benefit a lot from being wireless, and whether that's like now with some of the solutions that are out there, or next generation when like I think all the kinks get worked out, and hopefully we have like better wireless.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
it's just one of those things that that I noticed. I remember when I was playing.
Gotcha. Cool, man. Well, this was fun. I have not been on the podcast in a very long time, obviously. So,
Yeah, no, it was
thanks for
great.
having me back.
Yeah, no, I
uh,
mean, I maybe we'll let you come
I
on
know,
the
I know.
show
All right,
again when you're
I'll
free
have to
sometime.
earn my spot back. But no, man, I'm excited. This is gonna be a fun weekend with hopefully a lot of VR for both you and myself, and we'll probably shoot Damon a text after this and see what he's up to,
Yeah,
as well. But yeah, I mean, have a good Thanksgiving for everybody listening. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It is Thanksgiving weekend here in the U.S., so we are very thankful to you guys for sticking with us. I can't believe it's been 2 years that we've been doing this podcast now.
that's really crazy,
So,
actually.
but it's been so much fun, man. Just kind of being able to explore VR with the perspective that we have, like with someone like yourself, with just the opportunities that we've had with doing this show, the people that we've connected with who've recommended games to us, or developers who have showed us things that we probably didn't even know existed out there. I think
Hmm.
it's been really cool. I'm really grateful for the experience so far, and I'm excited for where we kind of take things. I know you and I have been talking heavily about the future of the show, and I know that there's a possible. Well, we're gonna revamp the YouTube channel for sure. That's something
Yep.
that has been on our minds lately. So if you guys haven't subscribed yet, it's Everything Vive over at YouTube. You can find us over there. But we will. Yeah, I mean, I think that's all I got. How about you?
Yeah. No, same. Like excited to grow, excited to bring new things to the YouTube channel and just our content in general. And super thankful for an awesome 2 years and hopefully many more to come.
I agree. All right. Well, everybody listening, have a safe, happy Thanksgiving weekend. If you're not in the U.S. or you don't celebrate, just have an awesome weekend. Enjoy some time with your loved ones, and we will chat with you guys soon. And if we can, like I said, we're gonna try and see if we can do that bonus episode, just kind of highlighting some of the titles that we like or that are on sale right now for the autumn sale.
Yep.
So, all right, guys, take care and talk soon.